Volatility expanded at the U.S. session boundary as price engaged the 120 moving average. The March 1st Asia anchor formed between two prior U.S. references. Its upper edge aligned with the February 5th Asia high. Its midpoint developed near the February 27th U.S. midpoint. That midpoint overlapped the 120 moving average. Layered reference formed immediately. Structure tightened before movement accelerated. From the February 27th lower boundary, price rotated higher. The movement approached the February 26th U.S. upper boundary. This was not displacement into new territory. It was redistribution inside active memory. Range widened slightly. Holding time did not expand with it. On March 2nd, the U.S. session anchor expanded sharply. Candle spread increased relative to prior sessions. High-low distance widened meaningfully. Intraday amplitude accelerated. This acceleration originated near the March 1st Asia midpoint. That zone overlapped both the February 27th midpoint and the 120 MA. Structural weight gathered at that convergence. Interaction intensified around that level. The U.S. session extended upward. It reached into the February 26th upper boundary. It briefly traded beyond it. But time spent above the boundary remained limited. Range displacement is visible. Duration above structure is not. Expansion alone does not relocate structure. Relocation requires sustained engagement beyond prior containment. Here, extension occurred quickly. External holding time shortened. The hourly 20 moving average tilted upward during the push. Its slope increased modestly. Distance from the 120 MA widened temporarily. That separation faded quickly. When volatility expands from overlapping anchors, tension increases. Multiple session references compete simultaneously. Price oscillates between memory layers. Time becomes the decisive variable. The March 2nd Asia anchor initially formed above the February 26th boundary. Positioning suggested structural continuation. But follow-through did not stabilize externally. Re-engagement with prior levels followed. Price rotated downward. The February 26 boundary was reclaimed from below. External space was surrendered. Internal rotation reactivated. The February 27th upper boundary regained influence. That level functioned as temporary ceiling. Range narrowed again. Momentum compressed. The 20 MA lost upward separation during this pullback. Slope flattened. Distance to the 120 MA contracted. Short-term expansion decelerated. As price returned toward the 120 moving average, structural gravity increased noticeably. Overlap intensified. Movement shortened in duration. This entire sequence unfolds inside a mirrored weekly range built around the 120 MA. Measured symmetrically from the weekly high to the 120 MA, a proportional extension forms below. Current interaction is unfolding near the lower third zone of that mirrored structure. Range stretched. External time failed to expand. Redistribution resumed around structural gravity. The hourly range has expanded, yet structural control remains centralized. The March 2nd U.S. session anchor marked the largest intraday spread in several sessions. Bodies extended with stronger continuity. Upper wicks shortened during initial acceleration. Directional pressure appeared concentrated. Visual momentum increased. Structural displacement did not establish duration. After the upward surge, price rotated sharply lower. The February 26 boundary was re-engaged from above. External territory narrowed quickly. The move redistributed inside prior range. Compression followed acceleration. Candle bodies shortened. Wicks lengthened on both sides. Range narrowed incrementally. Flat states dominated several candles. Rotation clustered near overlapping session references. Volatility contracted into smaller hourly waves. Distance to the 120 MA tightened repeatedly. When compression follows expansion, weight consolidates. This does not negate prior volatility. It absorbs it. Energy shifts from extension to redistribution. The February 27th midpoint, aligned with the 120 MA, continues acting as gravitational axis. Price revisits this region frequently. Each revisit reduces directional clarity. Each overlap increases structural density. Density builds. Momentum fragments. The hourly 20 MA has begun flattening. Upward acceleration has slowed materially. Separation between 20 MA and 120 MA has narrowed. Short-term structural divergence has weakened. Range mechanics now dominate behavior. The February 26th upper boundary was tested. External duration did not stabilize above it. Relocation remains structurally incomplete. Repeated boundary engagement reduces extension efficiency. Volatility redistributes laterally. Internal oscillation replaces outward stretch. Directional continuity shortens. This is not structural failure. It is equilibrium formation. The weekly mirrored range around the 120 MA continues defining the field. Interaction remains near its lower third proportional zone. This level does not determine outcome. It concentrates activity. When session anchors overlap inside a proportional weekly boundary, movement becomes less linear. Acceleration phases shorten. Pullbacks increase in frequency. Oscillation intensifies inside narrowing distance bands. Several candles reflect this balance. Upper and lower shadows appear symmetrical. Body size reduces incrementally. Momentum stabilizes near equilibrium. Compression redistributes volatility. It does not erase it. Stored energy accumulates inside narrowing space. Time spent inside this band increases structural pressure. The 120 moving average remains central reference. Repeated approach reinforces its influence. Rejection tests continuation. Acceptance has not stabilized beyond overlapping anchors. Range expansion altered visible boundaries. But sustained external duration has not developed. Redistribution remains active inside layered session memory. Structure is negotiating around the 120 moving average as session memory compresses. Hourly movement now rotates inside a clearly defined range. Pushes toward prior highs shorten quickly. Pullbacks revisit central reference with increasing frequency. Amplitude contracts after each attempt. Short-term slope has lost acceleration. The 20 MA remains relatively flat. Distance to the 120 MA compresses repeatedly. Separation does not extend meaningfully. Momentum appears in brief bursts. Continuation fragments. Rotation dominates intraday behavior. Volatility cycles shorten. The February 26th and February 27th anchors alternate influence. These references function as dynamic ceiling and floor. Interaction shifts between them rapidly. Duration outside either side remains brief. Structural gravity is concentrated near the 120 MA. Repeated engagement reinforces that centralization. Overlap across session boundaries increases density. Movement narrows inside layered reference zones. Compression now characterizes the recent sequence. Upper wicks increase during upward probes. Lower wicks form during pullbacks. Bodies remain relatively moderate in size. This behavior reflects redistribution, not resolution. Volatility has reorganized internally. Energy circulates inside constrained space. External displacement has not stabilized. The March 2nd expansion altered visible range width. However, holding time beyond prior containment did not extend. Repeated returns toward the 120 MA confirm centralized weight. Sustained relocation has not formed. As interaction continues near the lower third zone of the mirrored weekly range, range negotiation remains active. Session anchors alternate short-term influence. Volatility expands and contracts in tightening cycles. Structural tension persists within layered containment.